Okay, we're back again here at the Greatest Sports Channel, and my name is Mark Megna. I want to go over the book that I just published called The Greatest, in which I used the absolute adjusted slugging percentage to rank all the greatest players in the history of baseball. This is the best method to use because it incorporates everything: power, hitting, stolen bases, walks, and it was all ranked according to how well everybody performed relative to their era. So a ratio was developed, and the players with the highest ratio were ranked as the best players of all time at their position and in total. Also, with the earned run average, the pitchers, I used earned run average relative to their era and came up with the ratios, and the ones with the smallest or the lowest ratio were the greatest pitchers of all time. And then defensive players, I used the fielding percentage relative to their era and their range, which was putouts and assists relative to their era, to come up with a ratio also, and the one with the highest ratio were the greatest defensive players. Get right to it. The best absolute team of all time at catcher was Johnny Bench. First base, Jimmy Fox. Second, Roger Hornsby. Shortstop, Honus Wagner. Third base, Mike Schmidt. Outfield was Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds, Ted Williams. And again, these are the best players relative to their era that they played. They had the highest ratio. So this takes out the problem of the dead ball era from 1870 to 1920, the live ball era from 1920s going forward. There was a dead ball era downtime in the 1940s during World War II. There was the 50s were up in statistics. The 60s and 70s were low. There was a lot of pitcher dominance. And then the 90s and the 2000s had a lot of high statistical averages during the enhanced vitamin era. So this relative ratio takes all of that out, and you're able to determine who the best players are. And this is the only way to do this. A lot of players have been inducted into the Hall of Fame that shouldn't be there based on they were on good teams or they were popular or whatever. The best pitchers of all time were Walter Johnson, Grover Alexander, Ed Walsh, Roger Clemens, and the reliever was Mariano Rivera. Second team was Campanella, Gehrig, Knapp, LaJoie, A-Rod at short, Richie Allen at third base, who is not in the Hall of Fame. I highlight players that are not in the Hall of Fame that have been passed over and should be included in the Hall of Fame. Mays, Cobb, and Mantle. And then Greg Maddox, Cy Young, Whitey Ford, Pedro Martinez, and Hoyt Wilhelm. The third team was Joe Torre at catcher, Stan Musial, Joe Morgan, George Davis, who's not well known but in the Hall of Fame, Harmon Killebrew at third, Aaron Speaker, Frank Robinson, pitchers Carl Hubble, Christy Mathewson, Smokey Joe Wood, Lefty Grove, and John Hiller as the reliever, guy not in the Hall of Fame. Fourth team was Gabby Hartnett, Mel Ott at first, second base Eddie Collins, shortstop Bill Dalen, who is in the Hall of Fame, third base Eddie Matthews, outfielders Billy Hamilton, who stole a lot of bases, shoeless Joe Jackson, who's not in the Hall of Fame, Ed Delahanty, pitchers Randy Johnson, Tom Seaver, Rube Waddle, Dizzy Dean, and Rich Gossage as the reliever. Just getting into it, the best absolute players of all time, and I wanted to go through some of these. Babe Ruth was the best player of all time, hands down, using these absolute rankings based on a 162 game schedule for all of these, and they played the full season. Ruth averaged 33 doubles, 9 triples, 46 homers, 144 RBIs, 8 stolen bases a year, by the way, for his career, he was less than 50% stolen base percentage, which was kind of interesting. I could see him just running around and the crowd going wild, but he was less than 50%. Walks 133, a credible amount. Batting average 342, on base percentage 474, and a slugging of 690, which is the all-time record. Slugging does not include stolen bases and walks. My adjusted slugging percentage does, and this is the best way to evaluate players. Just to show you the cover of the book, right here we have it's called The Greatest. This picture is from the 1936 All-Star Game, the AL. Starting from the left, you have Lou Gehrig, Joe Cronin, who was a shortstop, Bill Dickey, a catcher, Joe DiMaggio, which was his first year in baseball, Charlie Gehringer, second baseman, Jimmy Fox, and then Hank Greenberg, who was a 6'3" first baseman for the Detroit Tigers. Again, I dedicated this to my dad, Dick Magna. Here's a picture of him from 1948. So, if I can get this camera back. Okay, we're back there. Second best player of all time was Barry Bonds. Again, this is on a relative basis. And he averaged, he had 8 Gold Gloves over a 22-year career. Averaged 33 doubles, 4 triples, 41 homers, 108 RBIs, 28 stolen bases, 139 walks. One year he had 230 walks. And 298 batting average, 444 on-base percentage with a 607 slugging. Third best player of all time was Ted Williams. 37 doubles average, 5 triples, 37 homers, 130 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 143 walks, 344 lifetime batting average, 482 on-base percentage. I think that's the highest in history, and 634 slugging. Mays was the 4th best player of all time. 12 Gold Gloves, 28 doubles, 8 triples, 36 homers, 103 RBIs, 18 stolen bases, 79 walks, 302 average, 384 on base, 557 slugging. And he played at a very difficult time. The 50s were up, but the 60s were down statistically. And all of this is based on this ratio relative to how they performed in their era. Ty Cobb is the 5th best player of all time. Played 24 years, primarily starting 1900 through 1930. Had averaged 39 doubles, 16 triples, 6 homers, 103 RBIs, 48 stolen bases, 67 walks, 366 batting average, a 433 on base percentage, and a 512 slugging. I'll just finish up with the top 10. Jimmy Fox was 6th, 32 doubles, 9 triples, 37 homers, 134 RBIs, 6 stolen bases, 102 walks, 325 average, 428 on base, and 609 slugging. Honus Wagner, here's another example of a guy that didn't hit a lot of home runs, but based on this relative performance, we're able to determine that he's the 7th best player of all time. He averaged 37 doubles, 15 triples, 6 homers, 100 RBIs, 42 stolen bases, 56 walks, 328 batting average, 391 on base, and 467 slugging. Lou Gehrig is the 8th best player of all time. Only played 17 years at first base, 40 doubles, 12 triples, 37 homers, 149 RBIs average in a full 162 game adjusted season. 8 stolen bases, 113 walks, .340 batting average, .447 on base, .632 slugging. Number 9 is Mickey Mantle, had an 18-year career. Again, played half of his career during the difficult 60s. 1 Gold Glove. He had 23 double average, 5 triples, 36 homers, 102 ribbies, 10 stolen bases, 117 walks. You'd see all these guys, many of these guys get so many walks. 298 batting, 421 on base, 557 slugging. And number 10 is Rogers Hornsby, dominated in the 20s, had a 23-year career at second base, 39 doubles, 12 triples, 22 homers, 114 walks, 10 stolen bases, 114 ribbies, 74 walks, 358 lifetime batting average, 434 on base, and a 577 slugging percentage. So I want to continue on with additional videos. I want to go through many of these top 50 or 100 and tell you about their careers and identify a lot of these guys that are not in the Hall of Fame.